talking about Korean War. Yes, we will be taking any history lessons you want from now onwards, not just your school syllabus, extracurricular syllabus also. So there are following chapters in this Korean War: the Korean Empire, Imperial Japan in Korea, Treaty of Portsmouth, Korea divided, Chinese Civil War, North invades South Korea, US response, and finally, division of Korea. So these are the Korean refugees standing in front of US M46 Patton tank. So the Korean War, it is basically a war between not just North Korea and South Korea, and it still happen now. It happens still now. North Korea is launching missiles in South. They are a bit of not in a battlefield kind of war. They are telling we will start a war if we can, don't mess with us. They are trying to do so. So the Korean War is just like the normal war. So it is actually not between North Korea and South Korea. It was between the Soviet Union, the USSR, and the United States of America. So the Korean War was fought between North Korea and South Korea, and they say this as North Korea and South Korea, but they were backed up by USSR and United States from 1950 to 1953. The war began on 25th June 1950 when North Korea invaded South Korea following clashes along the border and rebellions in South Korea. So the USSR said they want the two nation was the global superpower. The Russian and the United States was a global superpower. So Russia wanted a communist state in Asia, whereas United States wants a democratic free elections elected representative nations. So they have different ideologies. So North wants the communist dictatorship, whereas the US wants a free democratic republic country. So the North Korea was supported by China and the Soviet Union, while South Korea was supported by United States and allied countries. The fighting ended with the armistice on 27th July 1950. So armistice is nothing but an treaty which was signed by both North Korea and South Korea, that we won't fight from now onwards. We'll just stop fighting. So there is a treaty. So we'll discuss detailedly about the from the next slide. So the Korean Empire. We don't just go straight into the war. Let us start what triggered the war. What is the root causes of the war? We'll just see. So, until the late 19th century, Korea kept isolated from the world. Korea earned the title the Hermit Kingdom in 1800s. Yes, now we call North Korea the Hermit Kingdom, the dictatorship kingdom. Yet, yes, we call North Korea, but the Korean Peninsula, the whole, there wasn't no North Korea and South Korea before the Korean War. Only the entire Korean Peninsula united together. So this name is still used today. The thousand-year-old monarchy started to deteriorate towards the end of the 19th century. So the in most of the countries in Asia or in other parts of the world, the monarchy started to deteriorate. Yes, in some countries in United States, the British tried to cover the whole um, American peninsula with the monarchy, but the monarchy deteriorated and the democracy was adapted. So like that in Korea also, monarchy started to deteriorate. So Imperial Japan in Korea, of course, Korean peninsula is was full of resources. Yes, resources. So Japan was also one of the global superpower, as it fought a lot of war and won a lot of war between even Russia, China, America. It fought a lot of war and it won some of the war, most of the war, I would like to say. So Japan began to exercise more influence in the peninsula after China came to Korea defense. So the Imperial Japan, the Japanese came to take resources, but the China thought that uh, they were stealing these things, like the British just came for trading, but they set up an whole colony here in India. So the war broke out in 1894. The first Sino-Japanese War ended with a decisive victory for Japan. Yes, that China like lost the war with Japan. Russia lost the war. US lost some wars. So whose force? The Chinese force remained in Korea for years to come. So after that, we'll see the next one. This is Korea's King Gojong. So Korea's King Gojong fled his palace in 1896, as you can see here, under the treaty of the occupying threat of the occupying Japanese. The Korean went to the Russian legation. Of course, the king went to the Russian legation. Russian legation is just we have the U.S. consulate, Russian consulate, like that. It was called as legation there in Seoul. While under Russian protection, the king allowed the Tsar to make decision. So he said that let Russia make some decision on our kingdom. So the Trans-Siberian Railroad was built by Russia, and Japanese perceived as a threat because they thought that they built a railroad, but they thought that armed men will board the train and come and defeat us. So Japanese saw as a threat, and escalating in tensions between the Japanese and Russian ultimately boiled over with breaking out. Of course, the first Sino-Japanese war between China and Japan. Now it is Russo-Japanese war. So as you can see, the Korea here, I will move my cursor. So this is the Imperial Japan who went here to the Korea. They occupied all the Korean peninsula. They occupied here. So till before this was the Imperial Japan, and Japan came here. They annexed till here of the China. They annexed here of Russia. They annexed every part of it. Half of the part of China belonged to Japan. So the Treaty of Portsmouth and Korean resistance. So the Treaty of Portsmouth, brokered by President Theodore Roosevelt, formally affirmed Japan over control over Korea as a protectorate. After World War II, the Allies were left to divide some countries amongst themselves. So the Germany was split into two, West democracy and East communist. Back in Korea, the Allies said that after the war, the country would be free, but in reality, Korea went in the way of Germany. So the north was occupied by the communists, whereas the south was occupied by the US. So in November 1947, the United Nations called for elections to establish democracy throughout the entire Korean peninsula. So, an overview of the Korean War in the United Nations. As you can see, those are Soviet Union, Ecuador, Egypt, France, British, India, US, us sitting there in the United Nations talking about the. So, as you can see, the North Korea was divided in two. So in December 1945, Korea was administered by U.S. Soviet Union Joint Commission as agreed at the Moscow Conference. with the aim of granting independence after a 5 year trusteeship. The idea was not popular among Koreans and riots broke out. So they thought the Soviet Union and the US thought that we will just be with them for 5 years and we'll just move out of this Korean peninsula. So, but the Koreans thought that they were just like the Japanese, they were trying to invade us. So they thought like that. So the Korean banned strikes and the riots broke out. Lot of riots broke out in Korea. So contain them, the USAMGIK banned strikes on 8th December 1945 and outlawed the PPK revolutionary government and the PRK People's Committee on 12th December 1945. Following further large-scale civilian unrest, the USMGIK declared martial law. So after some time, the Korean, now North Korea is called a hermit kingdom. No freedom is there, but actually back in the day, South Korea, now South Korea is so freely occupied. We can do anything we want. We can have the freedom to walk. We have freedom to speak out. But North Korea right now they don't have freedom. So back in the day, it was the opposite. North Korea had lot of freedom. The Koreans was so they can express their problems to the leaders of the Soviet Union. So the South Korea was the opposite. There were riots. All of them was there. So at the Tehran conference, there, as you can see in the picture, in November 1943 and the Yalta Conference in February 1945, the Soviet Union promised to join its allies in the Pacific War within 3 months of victory in Europe. Germany officially surrendered, the Nazis officially surrendered on 8th May 1945, and the USSR declared war on Japan and invaded Manchuria. Manchuria is a part of China. So on 8th August 1945, 3 months later, this was 3 days after the atomic bombing of Hiroshima. By 10th August, the Red Army had begun to occupy north of Korea. So they established a leader called King Kim Il Sung, a communist state, the Democratic Republic. People's Republic of Korea or DPRK was established in the north under the leadership of leader Kim Il Sung, whereas in capitalist state, the Republic of Korea was established in the south under the autocratic leadership of Syng Man-rhee. Both governments claimed to be the sole legitimate government of all Korea, but neither accepted the border as permanent because the US Syng Man-rhee wanted to have a democratic Korea all over the Korean peninsula, but leader Kim Il sung wanted to have the whole Korea under communist rule. So we'll see about that. So Chinese Civil War, of course, the most important thing in the Korean War was the Chinese Civil War. So the red one is the People's Republic of China, where the blue one is Republic of China. So, the People's Republic of China, the Communist China, where the Republic of China is a democratic one. So, they were having a civil war between two of them, and we'll be seeing about that later. With the end of the war with Japan, the Chinese Civil War resumed in uh, earnest between the communist and the nationalist led government. While the communists were struggling for supremacy in Manchuria, they were supported by the North Korean government materially and manpower. According to Chinese sources, the North Koreans donated 2,000 railway cars worth of supplies, while thousands of Koreans served in the Chinese PLA during the war. So, this Chinese PLA, I think they are a group of soldiers. North Korea also provided the Chinese communists in Manchuria with a safe refuge for non combat and communication with the rest of China. The North Korean contributors to the Chinese Communist victory were not forgotten after the creation of the People the Republic of China or PRC in 1949. So North invades South. So as you can see, the North Korea invades South Korea, and the blue color area is the where the US, UN, and other Korean forces were trapped. So on 25th June 1950, the United Nations Security Council unanimously condemned the North Korean invasion of South Korea with UN Security Council Resolution 82. The Soviet Union, a veto-wielding power, had boycotted the council meeting since January 1950, protesting Taiwan's occupation of China's permanent seat in the UN Security Council. After debating the matter, the Security Council on 27 June 1950 published Resolution 83 recommending member states provide military assistance to the Republic of Korea. When on 27th June, President Truman ordered U.S. air and sea forces to help South Korea. On 4th July, the Soviet Deputy Foreign Minister accused the US of starting armed intervention on behalf of South Korea. So, invasion of North, as you can see, that was the true slide. So, the defense line of Busan, so they invaded there, they invaded here, they came and they came. The Seoul was recaptured 4 times by the North South, North South, North South. They recaptured 4 times. So Kim Il sung with Chinese leader Mao Zedong, and US response. Truman ordered Supreme Commander for the Allied Powers in Japan, General Douglas MacArthur, to transfer material to the South Korean military while giving air cover to the evacuation of US nationalists. The president disagreed with the advisors who recommended unilateral US bombing of the North Korean forces and ordered the US 7th Fleet to protect the Republic of China, whose government asked to fight in Korea. The United States denied Taiwan's request for combat lease to provoke pre-RC retaliation. So the U.S. government ordered General Douglas MacArthur to be the supreme commander for the war. So the Taiwan wanted to fight for the Korea, but United States declared as if Taiwan wants to fight there, the Chinese will occupy Taiwan. So the division of Korea and stalemate. So on and off again, armistice negotiation continued for 2 years. First at Kaesong on the border between North and South Korea, and then at the neighboring village of Panmunjom, which is DMZ. So neutral nations reparation commission under the chairman Indian General K.S. Thimayya was subsequently set up to handle the matter. So they are under the armistice agreement, the establishment of the Korean demilitarized zone along with the front line. So the 38 parallel of the in the eastern part, the Korean demilitarized zone runs north of the 38 parallel to the west. So it travels south of the Kasong. The site of the initial armistice negotiation was originally in pre-war South Korea, but now is a part of North Korea. The DMC has still been patrolled by the KPA and ROK, and the US still operating as the UN command. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you liked this video. So please like, share and subscribe, and thank you for watching.